Hi, Pharmacist Robin here with my continuing saga of my whole food, plant-based diet test. So let's pick up where I left off. Share the screen. Share. Yep, where we go. There we are. All right. So day 8, my breakfast. And I had standard breakfast, replaced the 2 cups of oats with 2 cups of amaranth. Then I felt hungry after breakfast. My blood sugar was 9.9 and rising quickly, but I still ate a handful of nuts and a tablespoon of peanut butter afterwards. Very strange. I think I need to talk to a dietitian about this experience. My grain bowl had 2 cups of millet instead of 2 cups of quinoa. Blood sugar was fine. Supper was refried rice again with tofu, squash, beans, and I made sure I ate a half an avocado and added small oil. Having leftovers many times a week makes it easier to cook a whole food plant-based recipes. You alter the vegetables and makes it look like a completely different dish. So I wanted to spike my blood sugars, so I had a half an apple with 2 pieces of chocolate for dessert. I had many lows in the past week on this combination. I wanted to see if I could have a high. There's a bump, but nothing went above 10. So that night, no lows. Woo-hoo. I think I'm on to something. So I had the same breakfast as before. However, I skipped the peanuts and extra tablespoon of peanut butter, and the result was a low. Just after eating, and I experienced a low. I know that apple cider vinegar can slow down absorption to carbohydrates, but to this extent, I'm sorry, I just don't have an explanation. Lunch was standard. I had 50 mils of Ribena and a cookie when I noticed my blood sugar was dropping at 4 p.m. Supper, I have some rigatoni. This was my favorite childhood pasta, and this was organic rigatoni, but made with white flour. So I uncomfortably stuffed myself with seconds. It was delicious. However, it was not whole wheat, so I expected my blood sugar to go through the roof. Fortunately, it didn't. I also had an avocado with the meal as well. And that night, no blood sugar. Breakfast was similar on day 10, again with amaranth. However, I made one change. I did not add the tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and my blood sugar was fine. Lunch was standard. I had a snack with a decalcalized wine cooler around 4 p.m. for my happy hour. Supper was whole wheat pasta called penne and kale, Caesar salad, some squash, beans, and I had an avocado and half an apple with a cookie. Blood sugar was fine. That night, I guess since I didn't stuff myself with pasta like I did with the rigatoni the previous night, I had 2 lows. I didn't have seconds because I saw my blood sugar rising quickly from 3.6 to 6. So I thought, okay, it's going to peak higher. So I tried to anticipate it, but it didn't work. Earlier that day, I did find out how to turn on the low blood sugar alarm. Well, it did go off in the middle of the night, kind of like an Amber Alert that sounds in the middle of the night. I wasn't too popular at home that night. So, yeah. Anyhow, I had a handful of nuts and I thought it'd be good to go. Unfortunately, another low at 6 a.m. So I had 2 prunes and a handful of nuts. But I'm starting to understand low blood sugar. And so I'm glad that Jody at Abbott allowed me to try the sensor out to see what my blood sugar was like. For breakfast, I thought the amaranth might not be enough. So I had a piece of homemade piece of bread with peanut butter. It worked. My blood sugar was 9.2 though, but not quite 10. I had my typical lunch. For happy hour, I had 2 handfuls of mixed nuts and a half a dealcoholized beer. For supper, I had the same pasta, corn soaked in oil, my beans, and avocado. At this point, I was getting frustrated. I had set lows and it's day number 11. I didn't want to table uncomfortably stuffed like I did a few nights ago with the rigatoni. Now, this will gross out all the vegans who are watching this presentation. I consumed a quarter tin of canned salmon, 66 calories of food. This is still considered whole food plant-based diet because the animal protein is less than 5% of daily calories. Dessert was a half a pear and a cookie. And the results? No lows and no uncomfortably stuffed feelings. In the morning, I felt hungry before breakfast and I had a handful of nuts. At this point, I didn't want any more lows. At breakfast, I substituted 2 cups of cornmeal for the 2 cups of amaranth. I noticed that my blood sugar curve was more consistent than before. So, was this the cornmeal or the lack of lows the night before or the effect of salmon? I don't have an answer. I need to ask a dietitian. I heard that there's an optimal carbohydrate to protein pairing. Now, I may have obtained the optimal balance with the salmon. Lunch was my typical grain bowl. I had crackers with caponata and a snack. Supper was spaghetti with vegetables, squash, tomatoes, avocado, and bok choy. Again, I had a quarter tin of salmon. I had a cookie for dessert. I felt full, but noticed my sugar was 4.7 falling rapidly. I immediately thought of the amaranth morning, and a sip of water, and my blood sugar stopped falling. In fact, it went up 0.2. I don't understand this. Water has no calories, so no explanation. And that night, no lows. Breakfast was typical. However, I felt hungry as my blood sugar was rising. I should have felt full. Lunch is typical. If you're starting to notice, I'm running out of steam. This is a 2-week experiment. And I can't wait to stop taking pictures of my food. Supper was the same pasta as the previous night, cob of corn, which was drenched in olive oil, 3 tomatoes, the avocado, quarter tin of salmon. Dessert was a half a cup of pineapples and cookie. I noticed that my blood sugar was more consistent again this day. It's flatter. And no lows. And finally, day number 14. Breakfast with typical blood sugar. And since I had 2 meals on day 0, they were not recorded on this chart. This meant I've completed 2 weeks of measurement. Yay, I'm done. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.